Happy Monday.
Welcome to the couch. We here.
We out here. How y'all doing? How you feeling? Lex, how you doing today?
I'm feeling real good. I just got a real good email or two that got me excited for the fall. So, yeah, I feel real good.
I'm trying to hear about these emails.
Hear about these checks. That's what I've been waiting for.
Yes, there's one in particular I've been waiting on for a long time.
I know. I know. That's how it goes. It's always like 2 or 3 of those in freelance life and every year.
You know, that's always a good lesson, though. It's like, you know what they say, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Mm-hmm. Like, don't, because I didn't do it this time, but I've done it before. Mm-hmm. And them things definitely didn't hatch in time.
Yeah. I'm about saying with this one, it's different because you didn't even know, like, what was involved. I was like, she didn't ask me no questions or nothing, but I was like, whatever. But, yeah, this happened multiple times where just, like, I have an invoice now that I need to send that I was supposed to send in June, but I was waiting on them. They had a new process for renewing contracts. So I can't send it because it won't show that I'm in there till they finish renewing it. And so I had to like wait like a few months to be able to even send it. And I'm like still working like, all right, guys, like,
hey,
I need to send this invoice now.
Yeah, especially with larger institutions like schools or big companies. A lot of times they have weird turnover things. Mm-hmm. So that's happened to me too. Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we got to just, like, not be poor, so it doesn't matter. I mean, that's what I think about, too, honestly. Like, dang, I shouldn't be, like, all messed up. Or it makes me think that, man, this is why it's important to still have so much more stuff going on or, you know, not be dependent on one thing because you never know what can happen with it.
Exactly. You're having multiple streams of income. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And manifesting those. So we not poor. I mean, we not poor right now, but we going to be extra not poor in the near future.
Right. It's going to be hot girl fall on my Instagram because I've been at home all summer.
Same. But I'm excited for the fall. I'm also excited for it not to be so hot in LA.
Really?
Well, I mean, I enjoy it, but not having AC and being from a place where air conditioning is always a thing is weird for me.
Okay, yeah, that's different. At nighttime, that's different too. I've been waking up sweating like Kevin Durant at 2:30 a.m. Literally every night at 2:30 a.m. I wake up like, and I was like sweating, and like my sheets are like wet, and I'm wet. I'm like, what is going on? But it doesn't feel hot. And I was texting my friend because like my East Coast friends, I could text them at 2:30 and 3 o'clock because they'll be up. Yeah, and they were like, dog, like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, just saying what's up because I woke up hot. They're like, you need to stop being poor and turn the air on to like 60-something. And I was like, oh, I thought 73 was cool because during the day, I leave the heat. Like, I don't really turn my air on. But then I started at nighttime, like, all right, let me turn it a little lower because maybe I don't realize. Like, I think I flame on at night at a certain time. And it just doesn't work. With the 73 is not enough.
Your body gets hotter at night. And so you need to turn down the thing to cool it. But
You're telling me it does? Or
I'm telling you, no, scientifically it's a thing.
Yeah, definitely. My body definitely does.
I know mine does too, but I generally run hot. And so I always need air. So that's just been a thing for me. So,
but I like it during the day. I don't like the air quality has seemed sucky lately. Like I can't really breathe well outside. And the sun just is really draining. But overall, I'm cool with it. I like these hot days.
And it's been so beautiful. Like, just with a nice breeze. Like, yesterday I was outside teaching, had a nice breeze and some shade. It was A1. But at night, I need some AC. And here we are. So what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about leadership and being a leader, if you need to be a leader, what it takes to be a leader, what type of leader you are. I don't remember why we got to this, but it's definitely relevant regardless of what you're doing in life. Like, you don't have to be a business owner or anything like that to like care about leadership and what that means. And we'll get into why. But Carlie, do you remember specifically if there's anything that had brought it up?
Yeah, I was working on my curriculum, which, praise the Lord, I finished. Look at God. Been about that action this year, and I finished actually 3 separate curriculums, which is wild for me. 4, if you include this camp that I did. But anyways, one of the lessons was about leadership and on what being a leader looks like, how, like, what your leadership style is, how you can be a better leader and things. And you're like, yo, like, that would be a good podcast topic. I was like, you're right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember we were together and talking about something. But you when you're making your curriculum, you're choosing to talk about those certain things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. And I was like, dog, if you're making these curriculums, why don't we just talk about these things? Like, you're making a whole lesson.
Exactly. And so I think it's important to work in our strengths, but also things that help develop us as people and things that we've done. And leadership is something that I've worked a lot on and studied on because I think it's really cool. And I'm trying to be better at it all the time, like pretty much everything. And so that's what we're talking about today. So,
do you think everybody needs to be a leader?
No, because if everybody's a leader in their own way,
Look at you backtracking.
I know already.
You tried to answer all fast.
So here's what I'm going to say. Everybody can be a leader in their own right, but if you're all trying to be CEO, who's doing the other processes of a business? Or if everybody is...
Are we talking about leadership in business? Let's do that
I'm giving examples. Okay. So like in that, or even like basketball, like, I mean, the whole team can walk out in football and they're all captains, but it's like, there's usually a person or somebody who can help rally people, who can help inspire them, who can help do different things, different types of leaders. And I don't think that everyone can be that or is that naturally. Mm-hmm. But just because you're not a leader in your business, in your sport, in your whatever, you can still be a leader in your community, amongst your friends. Like, I think everybody has leadership qualities and abilities and things where they need to show up as a leader. But do I think in the traditional sense of leaders, like, is everyone a leader? No. And that's okay.
Okay. And then, so do you have to understand or choose to be a leader to then be one?
In some cases, yes, but I don't think so.
Like is it an intentional thing, you think? Like, if everybody's not, and I'm going off of what you're saying, like, if everybody's not really a leader in a certain sense, then is that something they should be trying to be?
Should be is a really strong word. I hate to shit on people. I think whether you try to or not, you're going to be a leader to somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, somebody's going to look at your actions or look at what you do or be inspired by you or follow these things. And so I think as long, I don't know if I have an answer for if you should try to be a leader, but I think inevitably to somebody, you're going to be a leader. And so why not be the best version of that?
Yeah, and I hella skipped like way ahead just because I think you kind of went into that. But one of the first things I think about with leadership too is like, well, why, like, would I consider myself a leader or would a person consider themselves a leader? And I think that there are some people who are naturally, they are leaders and they're not thinking about it and trying to like lead people. And then there are people who, whether they're good at it or not, they want to be leaders. And so they are a leader if they're still in a certain position of people looking to them, whether you're good or bad. And also the idea that you can being a leader can be in a bad way or a good way. So for me, I think about leadership as something that it doesn't always have to be like an intentional thing. But if there are people who are looking to you and following you, or if you're in a position where people are supposed to, then I would say that you're a leader.
Do you have an example or a couple examples? That might not be
Hitler's
traditional.
A leader.
That's true.
I would say that we're leaders. I would say people who on social media who are technically like influencers. They're leaders in a sense. And maybe you didn't ask for it. Maybe they want that. Some people, when you think about notables and athletes and the arguments around, role models and being a leader, it's kind of funny. But that's one of those things where yes, you are a leader off the strength of people doing what you say and doing what you do, but they may also be saying like, hey, I'm not trying to be a leader. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, so are they a leader or are they not a leader? If they accept it or not, is it based on my intentions as the person or is it based on how people are reacting to me?
That is a really good question that I don't have a definitive answer to, but I would say regardless if they want to or not, they are a leader. But
you
also
should behave as a leader if you know people are following you, right?
Exactly. But I mean, it's to the role model point is like a lot of people are like, oh, well, my kids look up to you. Like, you should do this. Well, I mean, it's not their job to raise your kids. And so figuring out that balance of being true to yourself and being in alignment and doing things that like living a life that you're proud of and that you're all in.
Yeah. And you know what would have been cool, or maybe we can do it also, is talking about following. And I think everybody talks about being a damn leader all the time.
What about following?
But what is us, like how you said, like, yo, take care of yourself. Like, just because Nicki Minaj jumped off this bridge in a pink wig, like, didn't mean you had to go do that shit, or like that you had to jump online and defend it or anything. So like, what is our responsibility in dealing with people in certain roles and how you're letting that affect you? So I mean, I think we do have a lot of responsibility as people who are looking to other leaders. Or is that us being a leader to ourselves? I don't want to get to Inception right now, but
it's like you said that, and unless I was the Instagram story, and the Instagram story, and the
but
Instagram
there's a
story.
lot of. I think there are a lot more things to it, you know, because there is a level of responsibility on both sides, and at the end of the day, it's you on you, of course. But yeah, it's like some people are leaders, and I think that they do need to understand that, but also it's just unfortunate that a lot of people are blind followers.
Exactly.
So
exactly. And I think if they did a lot more self-leading, they wouldn't be blind followers.
So then how do you define a leader then?
You stole it. I was about to hop on it.
I know you were already been talking though, so go ahead.
It's someone who, I was looking for the quote and I didn't find it, so I'm going to mess this one up. But it's someone who inspires others to action, and it's who inspires people to like be the best versions of themselves and to actually do something. Like I believe that was a president that said that. Probably better that I didn't quote it in that case.
Is that the quote though?
It's something like that. I'm going to try to find it. I'll put it in the email. So y'all should sign up for our email list.
What you can do for
No,
others.
not that one. It's not that one.
Okay. That's the only president quote I could think of.
It's 7 years.
Yeah.
But it's about inspiring other people. I think when I think of a leader, I think of someone who leads by example, who leads by action.
Okay. Sorry.
And so that's like in my head, like that is the first thing that I think of. I think it can look a lot.
I think that's your definition of a good leader, right?
Oh, that's probably true. Yeah, but when I say inspires people to action, that could be
also
good or
subjective
bad.
or objective, because I don't know the difference in those two words, but that's to you, what you think would be a leader to you.
Yeah, definitely my definition of a leader. A leader, like I guess technically would be someone who has the ability to, I was going to say lead others. Yeah, basically to instruct others or to give them plans to which then get carried out, like in a very technical sense. But when I think of it, to me, it's someone who inspires action, someone who like a good leader is someone who lives like by their word and what they say they're going to do. And for me, they tend to have some type of higher vision or higher purpose or something that kind of sets them apart from other people. And so that's my loose definition of.
I guess they know where they're going, or they have a place that they're going to.
Yeah, or an aim. Like maybe they don't know exactly, but they have a general direction and they are walking on that thing and people are following them, whether they want them to or not. Okay. What about you?
I would define a leader and just agreeing with the part you said about inspiring action. And I think that's it. I think that's kind of all that it takes to be a leader, is if other people are seeing, hearing, or taking from you and doing something differently.
Good or bad?
Or maybe not differently, but yeah, good or bad. I mean, you're a leader if people are looking to be a part of, like you said. I think that you do need a bigger, I don't know if I would call it a vision, but there's something you're trying to get to, because that's the point of like you're working towards something and people want to also work towards that thing. So there is some kind of an understanding of where you're trying to get to, and other people want to get there with you. So
yeah, and to your point about Hitler, he did terrible things, but some people would argue that he was still a good leader, even though he did terrible things, because of how he, quote unquote, inspired all these people. Tying that into, we did this.
He was an effective leader.
An effective, yeah, it's probably a much better word.
He's real effective.
But we did this quiz in high school where the teacher put a bunch of qualities on a board and separated them, like person 1, person 2, person 3, and told us to vote for who we would want to be our president. And 4 out of the 5 groups actually picked Hitler. My group was the only group that didn't pick Hitler, and that's because I could read between the lines and I knew which one he was. But I was like, yeah, if you just look at the qualities on paper, and on who they were, and a couple good things and bad things about them. Like one was like, oh, did opioids, or oh, cheated on his wife, or whatever. The people still voted.
That's the kind of stuff they put it on the board.
Yeah, but like author, they put like, you know, military, all of those things, but then also put a couple good qualities and bad qualities. Like, oh, charismatic, attractive, but also was on opioids and did this. And it was like Martin Luther King Jr., Winston Churchill, Hitler, and like
They put
a
he
couple
cheated,
other people.
Martin.
They did.
He cheated like shit. I mean, who didn't? I mean, that's the thing about being a leader. Like, being a leader can't mean you're a perfect person because nobody's perfect.
Exactly.
So it's real funny. It's real funny how we do people, like, as far as how we cement them, like, in this place in history.
Yep. No
and
blemishes.
then years later, all these different things come out. Like, even with all our presidents and everything, it's like, y'all are all trash people. But, I mean, a lot of people are trash.
Exactly. And if we had our stuff aired out on national news, we might look like trash people too, depending on who you are and what you've done.
I think it's just that now, because of technology and how things have changed, that we're more accepting of transparency and seeing real people. And I mean, there's a lot of people obviously who try not to, and they're trying to still just look at people for like, well, these people are perfect. And, you know, all these old white men who are like doing whatever in their basements on their own time, but then still trying to do all these laws against all of those things they enjoy. So it's like, it's really weird, but it's because there is still, oh, you can't do these things and be in leadership. So it is a mix too of morals and of where you're trying to get to, what your vision is, all of these things. I think it's kind of messy. And as we think about leadership and who we think is a good leader, it's really an examination of ourselves, honestly, and like, what do we care about?
That's 100%. It's a reflection of all of us. Do you think that leaders are necessary? That's a good question.
I know, because I came up with it. When I came up with it, that's why in my notes, writing out the question, I couldn't just write that one question. I wrote a bunch of stuff because I was thinking about it because, and I'm not anymore the most political person, but when you think about types of even like government and, you know, socialism and communism and our democratic processes and all of that, and it's like, well, I know on lower scales, like I know there are some communities, like even in some African countries, there's communities that are way more community-based, and it's like everybody has a role and everything comes together, and it doesn't seem like it's like hierarchies of people. Does leadership have to mean hierarchies of people, though? It's like, I don't know, but in certain societies, it absolutely does here. And it's just a weird back and forth thing in my mind about, can you trust people to do what they're supposed to do? And then like feeling like, oh, do you need systems or need a person to like make sure everybody's in line? And so that's always a weird conversation. So if I have to like answer, are leaders necessary? I would say that I think the only thing that's necessary is individuals being the captain of themselves and being a leader over themselves and really knowing themselves. Like, I feel like if everybody was there or understood that, or if that was like part of our societal norms of like actually having more emotional intelligence and like internal mental, like all of those things being much more open, that everything would be different anyway.
100%.
But then I don't think, maybe that's not realistic. So do we need leaders? I guess somebody got to run this.
It's hard to think of society though, or anything without some type of power dynamic, just because it's always been there. And like these systems.
And then it's like, does a leader have to be like a power? Like, can everybody...
I think you can
there's
be a
always
leader
somebody
without
who's
a power
not.
dynamic.
There's always somebody who's gonna hate on the leader. Like, if,
100%.
even if you're not the named leader, people know like, yo, everybody likes everything that this person says, and so they're still, like,
like
you're still, even if you're not trying to be like, praise me, like you're still gonna be, somebody's gonna hate on you. So it's based on that person and how they feel about
themselves,
life and stuff.
And
so it's weird. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think I'm with you on that. So so I won't go through.
I don't even remember what I ended on, but I think it made sense.
Yeah, it did. I mean, if people were just
what do y'all think? Like y'all, this is a good opportunity for y'all to help us. Do you think that leaders are necessary? Now we can say in different environments, Well, even in office environments now, they try to make it more
decentralized,
open.
like no hierarchy. CEO,
nobody has a room,
secretary,
office with a window, and everybody has ping pong in the. Oh my gosh, and like so I don't know. But at the end of the day, niggas know who's signing the checks. Bruh. You know who you got to speak to when you come into work.
You know who can come into a meeting late and who can't.
You know who walks by, and you got to act like you're working. So it's there. I think it's there regardless of how you try to.
It's still there.
Yeah, however you try to cut it. Somebody's the leader, or people are leaders.
But do you think that they're necessary? So I
think maybe you are if you're automatically. Well, I don't know.
So let's ask them. So
yeah, let's
at Lextopia at CC Fierce, like screenshot Carlie's couch. Let us know what you think. Are leaders necessary? And also, do you think everyone can be a leader?
Yeah. What would it look like if? Well, what does a leader look like then? We got to go back to that. Because does that mean you have to be telling people things to do or like?
I don't think so. Because if we go by the similarities in both of our definitions, inspiring someone to action, I'm not telling anybody. I could inspire
You're living
them.
a life.
Yeah, you're living your life. You're being a captain of your ship, like you said.
Yeah.
And so I think in that way, everybody can, because for example, if I'm inspired by you doing your action and then I start taking action, it's a ripple effect. Now someone's inspired by me. We're all leaders in this sense, but you kind of sparked it because you were the leader of all of these things. So I think everyone has the potential to be.
I think everyone is a leader in their own right, but that's just because there's always somebody who's not as much there, or everybody still at some point is influenced by people around them. Whether you're a child and like you're influenced by your parents or whoever is the leadership, right? So there's always, just because of how we are as humans and we're growing and learning, you're always getting that from somebody else, and there's always some type of authoritative figure, whether it's a teacher, whatever, as we grow up, and so we're used to leaders telling us or showing us or whatever. And then as we get older, or even as kids too, like of course the whole time people who have influenced us, I don't know if you consider them a leader per se, maybe not. But then you start to get more intentional, even if it's like your friends, but like really thinking of them as a leader more intentionally as we get older, for sure, I think. But I think typically when we think about leaders, that certain people stand out. And I'll say some of the things that stand out to me when I see somebody that makes me think that they're a leader is if they are a good listener, if they are charismatic, like they can rally people and get people excited, like they're passionate, and if they have a plan that's like there's friends I have and I can think of them and I know like these are the things they're trying to do, and so it's easier knowing what they're trying to do to want to hop on that because they have the passion, because they're working on it, because of all these other things that you want to contribute to that movement or to whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then of course I think being kind for me is something that, or like not just kind, but giving people space to like be contributing to whatever's going on, or like like I guess that's part of listening to maybe. But those are the types of things that I think about when I see somebody. I would think, oh, they're a leader when they kind of have a sense of knowing what they want, knowing who they are, and like this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Whether I'm with them or not, like they're moving forward.
I think there's a lot of similarities. Somebody who just in the kind of the way they carry themselves, like they're confident, like they're a little easygoing with what they said. In the sense of a plan, for me, it's a vision. It's like this higher ideal of something that I can buy into and then want to support. Like you said, getting people bought in. But one of the most important things when I think about leaders for me is like heart, like their passion and their dedication to what they're doing. And I guess the resolve to continue doing said things, like even when stuff gets hard, even when doors get closed in their face, like their ability to keep going. Like I think that's also really important to me. How are you as a leader? Like how would you describe yourself as a leader?
I would describe myself as so first of all, I think it's weird to describe yourself as a leader. But
or maybe your leadership style.
I know what people say about me or say to me, and that's what I think is more legit, and that's what matters. Because actually, it's so funny that to go off a little bit. I'll come right back. But one of my friends, he was like, they did some kind of an activity. I don't remember if it was like in a work environment or what, but he was like, we did this activity where everybody was supposed to write down what what people think about you, like in this group. And he was like, yeah, one girl on her paper, and then everybody else had to write down what they think about you, right? What are their things that they're thinking about you.
Ooh.
And there's something else too, because I don't know if it was just around like who you are as a work or something. Like it wasn't supposed to be rude or anything. But so he was like, yeah, it was funny because this one girl, everybody was like, all right, what do y'all think about her? And they were saying stuff like, kind jokes, whatever. And then she was like, oh, she was like, I thought y'all was going to say I was a boss. And like, like thinking of yourself a certain way. But everybody was like, nah, like you ain't, you know what I mean? Like everyone was like, girl boss. And like all that. They were like, nah, but you cool, but nah. Nice, like it's not all that, right? So I think it's a very interesting to understand, like, how do people really see you and what you think you look like to people. So he was like, yeah, that was interesting how it was like a little off with people. And they were like, oh, she was like, I guess I need to, work on my, step that up if that's what you want to be.
Yep.
But that was an interesting thing. So
that's a cool exercise. You got to figure out the other piece. So I can like write that down.
But to me, I was like, oh, that would be easy for me because I know what types of things people would think about me or say about me because I see that and people say that to me, some of the same things. So stuff like, I swear somebody said I was a leader. No, stuff like just being like self-starting or always having good ideas or incorporating other people into like projects and ideas and using other people's thoughts in the process, being inclusive about it. Those are the types of things that people say to me. And a lot of times people say to me, but they tell me what they did based on what they saw me do or saw me say I did or whatever. So I know that people are always paying attention. Not that they're like waking up and checking like Google alerts for my name or anything, but like people pay attention to don't trigger me back to that.
Oh God.
But they're paying attention, and so they've developed a story in their mind about who I am without me having to really. And I push a similar story, but like it's not like I'm saying like think of me like this or look at this or whatever. But people see what you just do, and I think that's the most authentic way to be a leader.
Yeah, I was about to say I agree with all of those things that you said people say about you. I would be people saying those things about you. But I would also say you're really great at asking questions and at getting to the root of what people are trying to say. Because a lot of times people have all this fluff. And you're like, no, but like really, what are you trying to say? And so I would say encouraging people to be more direct. Encouraging them always to like look for like deeper and go deeper inside themselves.
And those things like that come from me being that type of person. So when I can look back at my life, and I've switched so much on a lot of different things, and so a lot of times I notice now when a person kind of annoys me or something bothers me, I'm really seeing something that I resented about myself, whether I still have it or did have it, and I don't think I should be looking at that as oh man, let me help them like that. But like, I just automatically kind of, like can see certain things like, oh man, like that's kind of something that they should look at or pay attention to or notice about what they're doing or whatever. Like I had a conversation on the phone the other day with somebody who called me and they have a business and, they just want to talk about like, yo, what can we be doing? And I'm like, first of all, how are you a marketing business if you're calling me about marketing? You know what I mean? Like, and it's just interesting. And I was saying, like, not in a way to, like, cut you down, but, like, you need to figure out what you actually want to do. Like, if you just want to make websites, just make websites. You don't have to be a fool. We do all this marketing and social media. Because they were like, I was asking about services, and he was like, yeah, we do, social media marketing. And I'm like, what's social media marketing? And he was like, well, when you this and that. And I was like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you should be doing that. Like, I don't think you should be doing that because what you're going to do is stress yourself out even more about it because you're trying to learn something, you know what I mean? And when you do things that you're good at, it's easier. And so I like to help people with the self-discovery. But I annoy people a lot with the questions, though, for sure.
They're good.
And I ask a lot of questions because I don't want to talk. I do that on, like, if I go on dates or if I do anything. Like, I just ask people questions so they don't ask me any.
Deflection. And I mean, it's working, but at least you're aware of it.
Oh, yeah. I know why I do everything I do. I think. Or I get down to it.
That's the point of asking questions.
How would you describe your leadership style?
I would say I like to connect with my team and the people that I'm working with. And what I mean is like understanding kind of what makes them tick, what their buy-in is to the project or to whatever we're doing together, like where their heart is in it. And then also giving them space to speak. Like I remember at my old job when I was an engineer and I was over the interns. There are some interns, every question, they raise their hand ready to talk. And I would stop calling on them, intentionally call on the ones who are not trying to talk. Because I want to give them space to be heard and to say things. Because I think a lot of times that's where good information comes from. And I noticed I did the same thing in business school. Like it's really easy to talk over people, especially if you're very type A. Like all the type A's just start talking and everybody else is kind of chilling. And if it's just a bunch of type A's talking and everybody else is chilling, you don't get as good of ideas and you don't get as good of solutions and the best teamwork as if everybody was involved. And so I would intentionally like pause and do that. I would also say that
I don't like when people do that though, because I'm like, if I wanted to talk, I'd raise my hand.
I mean, that's fine.
Or like the people who like get all, weird when it's like the spotlight on them.
It's not, I mean, if it's like a friend situation, like I'll ask, and it's not a direct thing. I don't turn and like point at you.
Yeah, you're not one of those people like,
I'm not cold calling on people,
Okay.
But what I would say is like, oh man, like I know Alexia has experience in social media. What do you think about what we're talking about? It's a good way. Like once I understand who you are and what your buy-in is, it's a warm introduction to getting information and trying to come to the best solution. And I'm just thinking about this these are very work settings that I just happen to think of. But as a leader, otherwise I'm very encouraging and always want people to be the best version of themselves. Like, and whatever that looks like, however they can get there. We recently had the Thrive Games. Shout out Thrive Health Lab. Red Team, we won in this thing. Jermaine was on my team. What's up, Jermaine? He listens to all the episodes. But I was just encouraging, like running back and down and forth with my people, like making sure they were doing good. Like, you got this, you got this. Let's go.
Encouragement is important.
Run. Like, that's just me. And it's so funny. I remember when I first went to business school, I didn't talk to a lot of people, but halfway through the year, like more people started talking to me and like, some of my friends were like, we didn't think that you were that nice in real life. Like we didn't think anybody could just be that nice. So we didn't fuck with you because we just thought you were being fake. But then we realized that's actually just who you are. And so now we fuck with you.
Yeah, that's always funny too. Like to think of people, the way people are is like, all right, they're just putting on a show.
Yeah.
Because I do see that a lot too. What about leadership with like family and friends and things like that? Or is it separate?
I think it's very similar. I want people to always be the best version of themselves. I'm a really good listener. Not that I've given myself that title. Other people have given me that. And a lot of the things that I'm speaking on are, like you said, are things that people have told me and or responded in certain things, like questions that I've asked and polls and things that I've had to do. And I like to listen and to provide space. I ask questions. I don't want to solve people's problems for them. But when I was growing up, I used to be like that, codependent, and solve things and fix things and do all that. So that was more of my leadership then. But now it's just providing space for people to be themselves and loving them from a distance and giving them time.
Yeah, it's so funny that I have that disconnect of not being a good listener, but I'm asking a lot of questions. So it's like, that's how I know I just be asking questions. Just asking for real. Like
asking Adam questions.
Yeah, you could tell when it's like, if I'm just asking questions or if it's, I'm really trying to like dig deeper into something because it's different. One thing I thought about too is like my actual leadership, because I think before when I answered, I wasn't really thinking about my actual team of people who work with me and like, how do I work with them? One thing that I do too that I like as a leader is give people space to do what they need to do, how they need to do it.
Yeah.
I always, like when we're talking about tasks or things to get done, I always am telling them like, hey, this is how I do it or this is how I have been doing it. But if you done it a different way or if there's a different flow that works better for you, like let me know like what that looks like, because I don't want you to feel like you have to fit into this mold. I just need the outcome. So I'm a person who I just want my outcome that I want, and we could get to it however it makes the most sense.
As long as we get to it.
Yeah, so you have space to do things how you want, and I want you to discover that. So I'm not really like on people throughout the process unless I can tell like stuff's not going the right way or, things aren't being done. But for the most part, I care about the end goal. So I just like for people to be attached also, or like you said, like to be sold on what we're doing, and then knowing that they'll move however they move, but like they're still coming along for the journey.
Exactly. And I hate being micromanaged. Like, oh my God, it is the worst thing ever.
I like it sometimes. I don't know. It's different all the time. And then I work with clients who are, they want to hear from you every day. Some people hear from you every 6 months. Or even with me, like with certain people, some people I reach out to more, some less. And I just kind of understand people's style around me and just do that. But I don't mind.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, I don't mind the ones who hit me like all the time or like, hey, did this get done yesterday? And I'm like, I just yes or no, and then I just keep moving.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's trauma from my job, like, but making sure things get done their way. But I'm like, I don't work that way. And I think something that's important to me. So people who are managing me or know those things, like that freedom of figuring out, how to do it. Like, I'm going to ask questions.
Right.
And, you know, to try to get there. But I do want to try to figure out the best way that works for me and how I move.
Mm-hmm. So, you want to talk about, well, we already talked about our style of leadership.
Yeah, we talked about that. So this week we wanted to include, there are a million times infinity leadership quizzes out there, but we found a pretty cool one that we're going to include in the newsletter. So make sure you go to carliescouch.com and sign up for the newsletter. And it has like 6 different leadership styles, and that they kind of came out with and talk about like strengths and weaknesses and how you might move in different situations. So we'll be sending that out and we'll talk about our results. But also, if you have any other good leadership quizzes, like I do use these things in my curriculum, and I also just like taking all of these quizzes and finding out more about myself. So if you have any leadership quizzes that you prefer, that you use in trainings with your team or with companies that you work with, I would love to hear about those too. But what did you get on our leadership style quiz?
We took a USC one, and I got that I was a meta modern leader. And I don't really remember everything that was in that, honestly, so I can't really talk about it.
Yeah.
And another one I did too is mostly like the stuff we had just said about being more inclusive with the team and thinking about bigger ideas and moving forward that way.
I was about to say, I have the little thing, Not Like It Matters.
Is that what they sent you?
Or no, I found it. No, this is something. Oh, man. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so here's some of your.
So mine was learning to perform in the role requires practice and improvisation. What?
These are talking about like the values, like things that you value as a leader. Like
authentic
I think that one's
engagement,
definitely
empower others, co-create meaning and success. Everyone shares leadership at different times, being flexible, persuading others not to follow you, but to have their own ownership. Yeah.
You just said that.
And exhibit emotional intelligence. Sometimes.
I would say
if I feel like it. Yeah, I mean, if I'm trying to, like, actually be leading, like, you're not always trying to think about leading, you know? 100%. Sometimes you're just fucking upset with people or you just need certain things done or whatever, and it's not always like, let's sit down and think about it.
And then mine, I got postmodern values, and it's be creative, think outside the box. Chaos and complexity both play a role. Theories of discipline. Workers are investments seen in contrast to ideas. Embracing diversity and empowering workers.
So what's the difference between that and mine? Because it looks like it's just different. They both look like they're listing things that can apply to everybody, I feel like.
I'm not sure. I think it's the way that you go
like
about.
What are the top things for you?
Yeah, I think that those are like your top values.
And you felt like those were your top?
I don't know. I haven't looked at all of the other ones enough to completely agree. I do think that like empowering people is one of mine. I do look at people as investments. Thinking outside the box is important to me. I do like chaos and complexity and diversity. But they're also a little bit general. I would like to do a little bit more research into like the depth of it, but I thought it was one of the better ones that we saw when we were doing research for this episode.
Yeah, so when you guys get the quiz and take it, because it wasn't very long. It was like a few minutes. But you can also let us know which leadership style you have too, and then look it up to see what that means about you as far as the top things that you value.
Yeah, we'll include that link in the email too, so you can see it.
Okay.
Do you know if you have any weaknesses as a leader or anything that you worked on? Or
I think a person's strengths and weaknesses as a leader are just their strengths and weaknesses as a person. And so for mine, it's always the same stuff. Like my weaknesses are sometimes caring too much. It's weird because sometimes I care too much about details that I'm not moving forward, or sometimes I'm thinking too much about the bigger picture that it's hard for me to start and move into breaking that down. So I tend to like execute slowly until I really get into it, and then I go fast. And so I kind of depend on like the other people to like be into it and like do their part and do things of it. So I think I have more of an entrepreneur mindset than technician mindset with a lot of things, as far as like I have the idea and I know what it takes to make it happen, but I don't want to actually do it. And then as far as my strengths, which I guess match perfectly, is that people tend to have like a magnet to me, to where they end up coming to me when I'm on projects and stuff. They come to me and they tell me, oh man, you're so good. How do you do this? And I could tell they want to do things that make it make sense, like what I'm doing. And so they're automatically trying to figure out, well, where can I fit into this moving forward, or into this plan? So that makes sense because I need them to help move it forward.
No, that's great. Mine's the same, like in the sense of the entrepreneurial mindset. Like I have the ideas, but I'm not so focused on the details that I move slow. It's like I know the steps, but I don't know all the little tiny details in getting there. And I also get bored with monotonous day-to-day work. So I have to really focus and take the time to set those foundations for these big, lofty ideas and things that I'm doing. Because I can tend to steamroll and go too fast towards the actual thing without making sure that the foundation is as strong as it needs to be sometimes. Start running a little bit faster than I am laying track. And so I have to like kind of work on that. But strengths like communication, connecting with people, that big picture view, and then just not strengths is I'm better at asking for help, but it historically hasn't been the best thing for me. And I think that leaders need to know when to ask for help and learning how to be interdependent instead of just independent when it comes to their projects, and knowing that that's okay. It doesn't make you any less of a leader or a business owner or whatever you're doing. And then working on just being disciplined to do the things that I don't like all the book work and the behind the scenes stuff.
Who follows you? If you're a leader, who's following you?
I think different people in different facets of my life. And so in a very literal sense, like I'm a volleyball coach, so I have volleyball kids. I am a personal trainer and a yoga teacher, so I have those people that follow me. Some people on social media, and people like throughout my life, like my friends and sorors and family, and like people will reach out and be like, oh, you're inspiring me with what you're doing. Like, I'm so grateful that you're doing all this amazing stuff. Different things. So
do you feel like social media how do you feel social media contributes or takes away from leadership?
I think it contributes twofold. So it contributes because it gives you access to sides of people and things that we wouldn't normally see. Like back in the day, nobody would be able to see that I'm doing all of these things because I'm not going to write letters for them to get delivered, in 2 weeks or whatever. So you get to see people doing things, and you can be bought in. Like whenever you used to write your lists every morning of things, like your goals, and like people saw that and were inspired and did that. Like I think it helps open your mind and your perspective to things that you might not have been able to see otherwise. But I also think that there's also a facade of social media. So you only see what people post and you don't see the rest of the stuff in their life. So you could be following people or being inspired by people who aren't actually walking all the things that they're talking and doing all of these things.
But does that matter if you're inspired by it and it causes you to do things,
I don't think so. If you're inspired to action, it becomes an issue whenever those people take advantage of those people. Like, oh, I'm going to sell this course, and it looks like you're doing stuff, but that's because you hired a great videographer to do your things, but you actually don't have any fruit. And so now I bought this course, and you didn't do anything, and I spent all this money. Like, that's the issue. But if it inspires you to action, I don't think it's a great thing.
Earlier in the conversation, we were talking about how it's kind of hard to think about leaders because people are people and everybody's so multifaceted. So then when we ask about who are leaders that we admire, I feel like it's really hard to just say a name without also having some kind of, what do you call it when you put an asterisk on the side?
Asterisk?
Yeah, but like without having some kind of like statement too to be like, but not, you know, but this part, a disclaimer about like, well, but in this area, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's hard because you don't want to feel like you're just like ride or die for any person, which I'm 100% not. I can't even think of a person that if they did something like I couldn't, you know, disagree or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you think about people we admire, it's really hard for me to even like think about people way back. But some of the leaders that I would say are people who made a difference in my personal life. I would say there are a couple like teachers or professors who I would have considered leaders because I could see them being leaders in their field, doing real things also while they were teaching us and incorporating us and giving me space to participate in particular things because of them giving me the space to do that. So I would say people like that. I would say my parents and seeing the way that they've been leaders, always working with my teachers and always being at my school, or, you know, things that they're doing at church, or like mine, you know, doing Meals on Wheels, and they go to like retirement homes and like sing to people, and they do all these things, which is so funny because I'm like, I didn't even really know they do all these things. But it's weird because my dad's retired, but it's like he has a full-time job because he like in the morning, he's like, I got things to do, and he'd be gone all day. And then later I'm like, oh, he was doing like Meals on Wheels and all this other stuff. So I'm like, that's cool. But stuff like that. And then when it comes to like people, I think about people, and I'm only saying Jaden Smith just because like I listen to it so much lately, but like people like a Jaden Smith when it comes to celebrity, I consider leaders, and I think they are important people to our society right now because of the way that they don't feel limited. They see issues and want to fix them. Like he talks about his inventions and like all these things he wants to build. He built the water filter for Flint. He has the truck that gives out vegan food in LA in Skid Row just because like he's like, yo, we were filming the video downtown. And I was just like, there's a lot of homeless people out here and I want them to have access to the same food we eat at our table. So he got his chef to like make the stuff so that they go out and do that. And so, and I understand that, you know, doing those things comes with the fact that you have to have the money to do it or whatever. But I think that's what makes a leader is doing what you can do and making those moves to make the world a better place overall. That's a good leader to me. And so that's just somebody that I think about, things like that. People who are authentic to themselves and are going to do whatever they can do and get whoever involved to make some kind of difference.
Yeah, exactly. It's always what are you doing for other people? Like, how are you giving back? And how are you helping, like, the rising tides raise all ships? Like, what are you doing? Whenever you were talking about that, I started thinking about J. Cole. And two things top of mind. One is whenever he went to 4 Oak Cliff, which is a nonprofit in Dallas that helps a community. They have a community center. They do after-school programming, GED stuff, job stuff. They literally are trying to help build up this entire community. Shout out to Taylor Toynes.
I about to say, so why are they not the leader and J. Cole?
Well, no, he is. But I like thinking about famous people.
He just came to it, though. He just came to it, though, right?
He did, but it's because he saw what they were doing. So Taylor being a leader in the community, starting this community center, doing this, it started off as like a back to school drive, a few backpacks, and now it's this big thing. They saw that J. Cole was going to be performing in Dallas the weekend that they were doing it. They're like, Cole, come through. Everybody was like tagging him because of what Taylor and them have built with 4 Oak Cliff. And then Cole went and supported. And it like that's the type of leadership that I think is important. Like both on Taylor's side and on J. Cole's side, like doing what you can with what you have.
What about in the community and like politics and things like that?
What do you mean?
I admire AOC. I admire a couple of the Congress women, I guess, because the women are the ones I'm thinking about right now, who are able to speak up and they can back up the things that they say, and they are being authentic and transparent about issues that are going on in our society. And so that even when other people are trying to tear them down, it's like they really look stupider because it's like, bro, like what they're saying makes sense. Like you're obviously just being a hater, because it's different when you're kind of going against somebody and you actually have like facts and like, hey, but you did this time or this happened, but they don't have that. It's just like haters. Stupid stuff that they're kind of throwing on them. So it's just like, bro, y'all need to go back to the drawing table. But I appreciate them being younger and bringing more transparency into government, into the work that they're doing, and the fact that they really are including constituents in a lot of the stuff that they're doing, and even in their campaigns and what's gotten them to where they are now.
And supporting each other. Like the representative from Minnesota was struggling. I know her and AOC and a bunch of the other women were supporting each other, like on a very large scale, like showing up at each other's events and speaking and like standing up for them whenever the system has a whole bunch of nonsense to say that isn't backed up by anything. So yes, that also.
So I thought that was interesting. So, all right. So you guys, we've already said a couple of things that you can reach out to us about your leadership style, who you consider good leaders.
Are leaders necessary?
Yep, if they're necessary. So join in the conversation via commenting on the post on the website, carliescouch.com. You can hit Carlie's Couch on Instagram or Twitter. You can hit Lextopia, CC Fierce, or Carlie Carpio on Twitter, Instagram. And just tag us and let us know what your thoughts are on those things so we can have a conversation about that.
We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and also, if you're not already on the email list, get on the email list so we can send you the weekly, like what the video is, what the topic is, and this week we'll include the leadership quiz that we took into the email. So get on that, and we'll send those out. That actually didn't make sense because this episode will be out then, but...
So you can still sign up, you'll get it.
Only if we send it after this episode comes out. Okay, so I guess maybe Carlie sending another email to everybody. But we'll figure it out. But if you want the quiz, let us know. It'll be in the episode notes.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe we should just do that. But you should be on our email list anyway.
And if you are not, if you haven't left a review, please leave us a review on iTunes.
Yeah, and share that you're listening on Instagram, people. I should have said that at the beginning. This week we have
a special shout out.
It's the same as everybody. Everybody's special that we shout out.
You're right.
But today I'm going to shout out my friend Dominic Jones. I almost said his full name, but I'm not going to do it to him.
Not the government.
No, but I wanted to shout out my friend Domo, not just because he's a good friend. Thanks, Domo, for always listening and caring. But he's really been elevating this year with his work, and I just want to shout him out because I've seen a very conscious effort. Like he always like pushes me about like, and I hate when he asks me these questions because I'm like, I don't know. But he's always like, so what are you going to do with the first quarter of the year to propel you for the next? And I'm like, dang, bro. Like those are the stuff that we ask on the podcast. But I'm like, I don't really want to think about it right now. But he really has made an effort this year to really work on like his relationship building and networking. It's like he really like he's reaching out to people all the time, doing stuff. Right now he's in New York as we're recording this. But he was like, hey, I want to, make myself available on both coasts. So he set some meetings with some other directors and other projects. He asked friends here, like, yo, who do you know out there that I can meet up with? And I think he got a job to be doing while he's out there too. So it's like he's really been reaching out, and that's been kind of inspiring to me. And he's been able to move his role from more so, ADing or camera operating to being DDP, which is what, you have to work to get to being that person. But he just DP'd a project with Sway Lee and ASOS the other day. He has a documentary that he's working on that has to do with athletics. And so he's getting a lot more projects as a DP. So we're proud of him.
Shout out, Domo.
And we want to tell him happy birthday this week.
Happy birthday.
So Damo's birthday is on the 4th, which is B-Day, but we call it D-Day. He's so mad that Beyonce's birthday is the same day as his. But so be sure if you're listening to this, go at his name on Instagram is Buddy Israel. I don't know if it's supposed to be Israel or Buddy Israel, but I say it like Buddy Israel. But on Instagram, tell him happy birthday and follow him because he puts up lots of cool art in his stories.
He posts a lot of dope stuff in his stories.
Yeah, he does. And he's the person we shout out all the time just because he be around all the time. That's my neighbor. But happy birthday, Domo. Shout out to you. Not an episode goes by that we don't talk about you, but it's okay.
That's how you know it's real.
Right. Question of the week.
Dun, 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 dun.
Carlie, I guess you got this one.
What? Hold on.
You said it earlier.
But I put in the one. What do I commit to myself? Lex, what do you commit to yourself?
I commit to, and this is going kind of into what our next week episode is going to be, but this is what's on my mind right now. I commit to seeing, like uncovering my fears and seeing them instead of trying to push them aside. When I feel a thing, like I've been going through a certain process where I'm like getting cool with it, with the issue or with whatever it is. And then it just like, it doesn't bother me anymore. So kind of keep doing that instead of pushing things away or trying to like achieve it away type of thing. And just like be okay with it and, you know, keep moving.
I like that. So you know what the question meant. So what do I commit to myself? I commit to being present and doing the hard thing in the moment. Meaning whenever I'm present, whenever I'm aware and in the moment, I'm able to make better decisions and staying in tune with myself. And doing the hard thing means like if I'm struggling to like say how I feel or to send that email or to do that thing, to just do it. To like challenge myself to do it, like self-care, like all these things aside, to just do the damn thing and then make it happen.
That's good. That's a really good one. Okay, guys. So what are you committing to this week? We already said hit us up on everything, so we're going to let y'all go. Enjoy y'all's day. Enjoy your week, and see you next week.
Peace.